And this year there's 9 different items to be replaced. Last year there was 8, which pretty much accounts for that slight increase in cost in the vehicle replacements.
Any questions, comments? Mr. Mayor?
John, on the Dixie choppers, I take it that's what that is, DC-3, DC-4? So does that mean we have 4 of those Dixie choppers? Because we bought 2, about 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
The first year I started, which was '08, we replaced DC-1 and DC-2 with DC-3 and DC-4. We sold those first 2 mowers, traded them in. We'll probably do something similar this year. So we only have 2. They just, when they upgraded into the new units, they gave them new numbers.
So in 2008, we bought them, and 4 years later, they're
4 years, that's about how much you can get out of a rotary ride-on mower.
Mr. Eugene Wesley?
The police cars, squad cars, didn't we approve those vehicles already? Or no? What administrative car is being replaced? Whose car is it? Police car. And the police department and CSO vehicles, what vehicles are those gonna be?
The administrative vehicle is one of the vehicles that's in the investigations division. We are not adding vehicles to our fleet. And then the CSO vehicle, we are going to be coming back to you in April. In this current year budget, we had one of the CSO trucks to be replaced. For budgeting purposes, we moved the other vehicle to the fiscal year 13 budget. So we're going to actually be coming back to you in April looking to approve for the current one that's in the budget, and then look to seek ordering of the one for after May 1. So that's the 2 CSO trucks that you see driving around. Those are 6 years old, I think. So that's ones that we're looking to replace.
To what type of vehicles? Trucks again?
Yeah, we're thinking pickup trucks, probably F-250s.
Those vehicles don't get the same heavy workout as regular police cars, do they?
No, they do run quite a bit, and but they don't put on as many miles as the police vehicles do. And then when we get rid of the current vehicles, we might look to have one of them be the one that we use for volunteers. That's currently a 2000 old Dodge minivan that we kind of keep extra cones in and stuff. So we're looking to reuse one of the vehicles and probably move one of the other vehicles into somewhere else in the city or auction per the garage, whatever their request is.
Alderman Roy Wesley?
Right, you just mentioned 250s. 250s you can't buy on state contracts, can you?
It's not a state contract, but it's a statewide bid that's done through the Northwest Municipal Conference. They do competitive bidding. And actually, the prices are very good and very close to the 150s. But we'd also be able, with the 250s, we're looking at having 4-wheel capability.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? None? Please continue.
There is one other one, but it doesn't apply to Mr. Kramer, so we will forego that one until next time. Jump backwards in the book, the Public Works Administration, which is on page 133. So as you can see here, no change in staffing levels from the prior 3 fiscal years. The org chart, Public Works Director has the executive assistant, and the 3 division supervisors or crew leaders underneath them. If you go forward a couple of pages, We'll, for the moment, skip page 136 and go to 137. On 137, the personnel line item is up just due to authorized increases. Contractual services is up based upon page 136. So like I said, we'll come back to that in a moment. On 138, that's actually down $900. And other expenditures is down by 4,000. The budget for that particular line item is more in line with the projected actual for this year. So really, aside from 136, the green page, there's really nothing of note different in the Public Works admin this year than last year. But going back to page 136, Public Works Administration seasonal assistant. In the past, and if I'm saying something incorrect, John, let me know. In the past, there's been some discussion for getting an assistant or another body over in Public Works during the summer to assist Mr. Kramer with the construction projects, the paperwork, and not so much the day-to-day activities, but he's being taken away from the day-to-day activities due to the volume of the construction projects. So this person would be retained for the construction period or finite period of time, depending on how the agreement is struck, to assist Mr. Kramer with the construction projects, paperwork, things of that nature.
Now, that's, you don't have on page 133 an additional person.
Correct. This would be a contracted employee, it wouldn't be an employee of the city.
Oh, this is somebody from Baxter and Woodman.
That's how it's presented. But for more finite or detailed questions on this, I will have to defer to Mr. Kramer or Mr. Stefan, probably Mr. Kramer.
How many months would he need?
6 months.
The bulk of the construction season traditionally is April to October, so it's 6 months.
April through October, right? End of April through,
It's not set in stone. It really is going to depend on when the projects start to pick up. If some years we may not get going until May and we may end in September, some years we may start in March and go through November. So
this would be an 8-hour day.
that's going to be hard to put a number on too. There'll be some days where it'll be longer than 8 hours, and then it'll be some days where we may have a rain out and they may not work any more than 2. That's why it's best to leave it as a contractual employee so that, it's based on the contractors who are working. If they're working, he's working. If they're not working, that's not the case.
And there's no insurance or IMRF or anything else.
No.
Questions? Alderman Winger.
Okay, on page 133, and I think I may know the answer here, that we show one full-time employee is the executive assistant and dial-a-ride. Is that purely taking calls for dial-a-ride? We're not double counting the 0.8 or so of FTE, right? So I guess just to net it out, the executive assistant dial-a-ride, the 1 FTE, is it purely taking the calls on dial-a-ride?
You're talking the 2.25 that we're counting total?
Correct.
The 2 full-time employees are myself and the executive assistant. The 1 seasonal position, I hire somebody for about $5,000 worth a year to either count sidewalk, check addresses in town. So it's not even a part-time position. It's maybe less than 200 hours in a season. So that's the seasonal position. So I think that's how they've totaled 2.25. $5,000 worth or under 500 hours of a full-time position.
Yeah, no, right, but I think maybe Mr.
Alderman
Wilson.
Woods.
Yeah, for the scheduling
I'm
purposes,
sorry.
it's just more of a descriptor than anything. We're not double counting the 0.7. We're not double counting the drivers in that position.
Gotcha, because the drivers aren't taking the calls. The assistant is the one picking up the phone, I believe, and
Correct.
than scheduling it. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Alderman Woods.
Yes, thank you.
That was-
On the seasonal
That's the
assistant
first I thought it was.
for construction, I mean, we've talked about a bunch of things up here. One was implementing the software, project management software, and some contract control systems. Those were other issues. My question is, why wouldn't we spend a little more and hire a full-time guy to be, purchasing agent / contract administrator / help John in the field, whatever he needs. But certainly there's enough functions to put a handle on the amount of work that we're doing to implement those software things that we talked about. Just wondering what John's input was on that.
I wouldn't fight for, or I wouldn't disagree with another full-time staff member.
Are you finished?
Yeah, go ahead.
I do kind of have a question because we have the contract with Baxter and Woodman, and this is going to be in addition to I thought the contract itself would have covered this type of thing.
And I don't want to misspeak. I'll either look to the city manager to aid me or Mr. Stefan to aid me. But the contract with Baxter and Woodman now allows for a certain allotment of hours, and this would be on top of that. So I would not want to just go ahead and authorize them myself their own amount of hours without either first going to the city manager or talking to Mr. Stefan and going through the contract. So this would probably involve a modification to the contract, but this would be budgeted out of either Public Works or Public Works Administration versus the engineering where it currently is.
Mr. Manager?
Mr. Kramer was pretty much accurate with his statement. I mean, we do have a finite amount budgeted for and a finite kind of average hours that we expect. I kind of want to, I think Mr. Kramer does too, kind of want to treat this separate from what we're already doing.
Just, to me, it seems like part of it. Roy Wesley, no yawning during.
Yeah, really. John, when you came to the city of Wooddale, you inherit the public works, water department. Now you had some engineering thrown to you. And this has been an issue since you've been here. And I know you need help because during construction season, you can't take vacation time. And we're not doing nothing with vacation time yet, but at $55,000, this guy's not gonna sit here and train you how to work the new systems that we're buying. I hope he's not gonna do that.
No, absolutely not. That's not the intent of this project at all. Actually, this person will be more in the field than they will be in the office. And, they'll be going to me for authorization, clarification, communication. But for the most part, I can't be in two places at once. And as you know, we have multiple construction projects going on concurrently. It's just another set of eyes and another set of impartiality to help me make sure that the city's getting the best bang for their buck.
And we talked about this before. By doing this to $55,000, do you think that this is gonna be enough for you to take some time off to enjoy a vacation once in a while?
Absolutely.
Otherwise, I'm gonna sit here and say, let's go full-time.
Absolutely. That's the way I wrote it the way I did.
50, so you feel comfortable with this?
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Woods, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Woods.
Yeah, I'm still gonna have to lobby for the full-time. I get the 6-month thing. I know it's gonna be a little more money to get a full-time employee, but if that guy's in there functioning as a contract administrator, a purchasing agent, and helping John out, he'll save us probably half his salary by fine-tuning some functions that we do, and we're kind of all over the board with. Number one being everything that we purchase. If you look at the list of bills, there's 20 bills on there for going to get fasteners,
But I thought that was the point, that he goes back to his desk and does the purchasing. That this person would be out in the field only. Am I correct?
I don't believe that that guy's gonna take over everything. My other issue with it is, that guy's not vested, he's not an employee, he doesn't look out for the best interest necessarily for the city of Wooddale, and for the difference in money, add it with the cost savings, I think it would be prudent to add the full-time employee versus contracting more, subcontractor time. I mean, if I'm doing the math quickly based on some of the numbers I know, we'll get roughly 500 hours out of them for that dollar amount. Is that enough? I don't know. Is it gonna go over 500? And then, you know, if that's the case, then we should have just hired the employee.
Can we steal somebody from Baxter and Woodman? I mean, we've had an experience with this type of a person before who didn't do anything. Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
John, we had a discussion about this last summer, needing help and whatnot. And I know during construction, you just can't be everywhere. My question is, I think we talked about this. If you're on vacation, is this the person that's going to be making, if there's a change order on the job, do they have final say, or are they gonna have to call the manager and make that final say?
If I'm unavailable completely and I can't be reached via phone, they'll
Well, I'm
be.
hoping you're on vacation, so that's why
Am I ever truly on vacation, though? Even when I'm on vacation, I'm here. They would have direction to go to the manager.
And to follow up, John, I'm willing to go with your recommendation because I know you need the help out there. We've got a lot of projects going on. And let's face it, if it's still too much, then next year we can probably look at the other alternative that Alderman Woods is talking about.
That's probably a good idea. Oh, yes.
Oh,
Alderman Wesley.
Brad, you got 55,000 here with benefits, we're talking what, 70,000?
No benefits.
No, if we go to full-time.
Oh, well, yeah.
Kind of the rule of thumb that we're using right now for FICA and IMRF is, because it is right around 20% for FICA and IMRF, and then a baseline single HMO policy runs the city around 10,000. So you're looking at 20% salary plus a minimum of about 10,000 for health insurance.
So we're looking at $75,000 roughly.
Right.
You know, I'm gonna go along with Mr. Woods on this because, again, Mr. Kramer has not taken a vacation pretty much since he's been here, and he's been available, and that's something I would really look at. I'm gonna bring up later on in administration where we're gonna probably save quite a bit if the council goes along with me on it. And I could make it up in administration to fill in this position.
Okay, let's, for the time being, we won't make that decision tonight, I guess. But one, either it'll be full-time or it'll be this
later.
individual.
I don't think it's gonna.
Next week, we can say, or do you want to say tonight? I say to go with what the management is suggesting. Alderman Winger?
Part of this makes me think, you know, well, how did we do it before? And I realize that it was, some of it is overtaxing on you, so I don't want that to be the case, certainly. And I try and support all of your recommendations. But I would almost lean on, not necessarily saying no to the seasonal assistant, but seasonal/temporary, because we've invested monies in software. So the project management software, what is that, 60,000? And that's supposed to allow us to manage better. And I realize there's a ramp up period where we're gonna be ramping up into that software probably the summer to fall, where we will need this seasonal assistant. But it may be in a year to a year and a half from now, we might not need that person. We just gave up brush pickup to outside companies. We're disseminating a lot of the work out, so I would rather not hire permanent and then in a year from now lay them off because we just don't need them. So I'm ready to support this additional labor, but more of a seasonal temporary for one season, just to see where we are at the end of that season. Thank you.
The only question I have about that is whose car would he be using? And whose insurance?
Or her.
As far as the vehicle question, he would be employee of Baxter Woodman. They would handle all of that. That would not be something that's on the city. As of right now, the way I outlined it in this. And if I may say one more comment.
Please do.
Again, I would not want to look a gift horse in the mouth. And again, I appreciate Alderman Woods and Alderman Wesley's approval of a full-time position. I would respectfully ask that, we draft this as a seasonal position, and I think it would be best to at least, as Alderman Shockey said, evaluate it for a year, see how it works as the seasonal position, see how it all encompasses the amount of work, how long they're involved, the actual tasks, and then if you would like, we could come back to you at the end of this next construction season, October, with a detailed report showing you how it worked, the benefits, the pitfalls, and then at such time, and I may come back and say, absolutely, I'd like a full-time person, and have a little more information on how to go about doing that. But I would hate to completely jump the gun coming to you with this seasonal position.
I would like to approve the city manager and staff recommendation and say yes to the green sheet. All in favor? You have your direction.
That concludes the admin, office admin. We're going to streets, the next item in the book, 139.
There is one more thing I'd like to mention on that on page 137. Item 40166, stipends. Am I correct in understanding that stipends is a $200 extra fee they get if they don't have an accident every 3 months? Union regulations?
Yeah, it is $200. Well, there's a number of stipends that go in there. One of them is a $200 safety stipend, or if they don't get into an accident, it's annual though, so they have to go a full year without getting into an accident. There's other stipends in there relating to licenses. I think arborist, pesticide, water collection system, wastewater, ASE certifications for the
I
mechanics.
thought that was other professionals. I thought you said that was someplace else,
No,
the other stipends.
all the stipends for the public works employees, save the 5 that are housed in this building, come out of this particular line item.
Those union ones, I just like to keep in mind when we have union negotiations. Either that or we get paid an extra $200 if we don't break a leg coming to the meetings or something. Eugene Wesley.
Yeah, you know what? I think this item 40166, I would strongly suggest that we take an exec session to talk about when it comes to the contract talks, because
We can ask if that can be done. Okay, keep going.
Stop.
I'm sorry. Continue.
Like I said, moving on to streets, 139. No additional staff this year. There are, and again, I'll skip 141 to 144 for the time being. Go to 145. Salary increases, since there's no new personnel, there's just the contractually obliged increases. The contractual amount is up 55,000. That is due to the inclusion of the brush collection contract. That was just passed, was it last week, I believe, 2 weeks ago. The commodities account is flat, other equipment down slightly,
I think so.
and
Either
others
that Or vehicle.
flat. So aside from the brush collection contract, there's nothing overly exciting in the streets division. We will want to circle back if there's any need or want for discussion on any of the 4 pink sheets. If not,
Questions, comments? I'll make an omnibus motion that we, page 141, 142, 143, and 144, we turn down. Do I have any disagreement? Nobody against that? Okay, then they're all turned down. Go ahead.
Unless there's any other questions on the streets. The next tab, vehicle maintenance, page 147. Does show 3 with the asterisks. That's the additional mechanic that's taken out of the plant maintenance division, but they do operate in the vehicle maintenance garage, so they're presented there. It's more of a span of control or chart purposes. No pink or green sheets. If we go to page 150, again, personnel up due to contractual obligation. Capital outlays down slightly. There was one item that I think there's only one item this year, just miscellaneous equipment, other equipment in the garage. Overall effect for the vehicle maintenance budget this year is up all of $1,171 after you net everything out.
Questions? Alderman Wesley. What? Yeah, Alderman E. Wesley.
The maintenance of the building, what are we planning on doing with that, and are we putting it on hold in this budget until we find out what direction the other thing may be going?
You talking about the painting of the shop and things of that nature?
Right, because I would not want to put any money into that if we go in another direction.
Correct. I mean, unless Mr. Kramer has a differing opinion where everything is on hold for the time being until we ascertain which direction it's going to go.
So is that loud and clear that this is on hold until we find out?
Yes. Alderman Roy Wesley.
What is, leave time buyback?
What number is that?
40107.
Oh.
Yes?
So I said take a drink real quick.
Okay.
The city employees are allowed to carry up to 36 leave sick days on the books. Once you reach that level, every year, anything above that amount is bought back. You're bought back down to 36 days, but you're bought back at half of the time you're over 36. So if you're at 40 days, you get knocked back down to 36, but you get paid out half, so half of 4 is 2, so you get paid out 2 days for anything over 36 leave/sick days.
Okay. It's just,
That's executive session too, I think.
is this the last one?
Is that it for Mr. Kramer? Or is
Yes.
there any more tabs?
Unless you're aware of one.
Oh, I'd like to make one statement.
One, okay, Roy,
I
our
would,
resident.
I would like to thank Mr. Kramer for the hard work that he did on his portion of the budget. It's probably good, maybe 50% of the budget and out of everything that he has to do. And he did a tremendous job as far as I'm concerned to put it together, so.
I don't
you.
think anybody here disagrees with you. I think we all can appreciate the job that Mr. Kramer does, and I think our residents appreciate it as well, which is important. Any other comments? Then I would like to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Not bad, quarter after, close. Pick it up next week. A week after next.
I know, thank you.